it. Follow her. Follow T. Here we go.
We got 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hello and welcome to this segment of Unbothered, where we're talking today about the purpose-driven life. You have your co-host. I am Prophetess TNT, Tara Nicole Tarver, and
host, Prophetess Taryn TNT.
we're co-hosts. We're still co-hosts.
Co-host. Okay, fine.
We co-host. She's trying not to take the light. I want her to be in the lights.
Pastor Deborah MANNS, long ass.
The Rev is the bomb, okay? My bestie's amazing. So I'm trying to make sure she gets some exposure. As you guys are sharing, tagging, letting everybody know we're live. And I think all of our crew knows we're live because you want to join us today and you want to hear this segment. Why do you want to hear this segment? Because it affects you. So literally, what have you been going through in your life? Do you know that the things that have happened in your life are driving you right into your purpose? Literally. And we ended our last segment. If you missed it, you do not want to miss any segment of Unbothered. It was so good. I was just talking about how my best friend is literally just such a motivation. And, how she has literally helped the police department. She's written manuals and given directives for people to help the police department and others help young women get out of sex trafficking. And literally her story is amazing. A lot of people don't look like what they've been through. I know I definitely don't look like what I've been through. People think that was one of the things that you talked about, is that really our Unbothered movement, people think that we make it look easy, like we never feel pain, we don't have any hurt, like we never felt any suffering, like there's never been any sorrow, we haven't cried any tears. Right. And that's not true. It's that we've moved to a place in the Lord where his joy is our strength and we're not willing to give up our peace. And we found out that peace has so much power in it. And we know Jesus actually came as the Prince of Peace when he was going to war. So how can peace go to war? Because peace is something that will guard you, protect you, and keep you. And I love that. And so we've learned to keep our emotions in check. It's not like we're perfect. Not like we can't have a bad moment or bad day, but realistically for you to know where you're supposed to be, we help guide you into that and walk in your purpose. So I wanted them to hear this dynamic journey that you had just walking into helping people and how you escaped sex trafficking and you were almost a victim of sex trafficking yourself. People won't even know it, but it launched you right into your purpose.
Right. Just without going like deep into it, because actually it's a book I started. I just haven't finished it yet. It can be painful.
Documentary. We have to tell the story.
Yeah, but it was just years ago. I was going through my divorce with my ex-husband, the father of my youngest child, who raised all of my children. And the divorce was really, really hard. And at the time, my best friend, who is deceased, she was going through a divorce. So we got this great idea that we were going to move to Texas together, that we were going to move to Dallas, Texas. Her family was there, and we were going to move to Dallas, Texas together. And when we got there, at the time, this was in, 97, 98. I was a nurse at the time. My original career coming out of high school and college was I was a registered nurse. I worked at Cedars-Sinai Hospital for 13 years. And then when I moved to Texas, I worked at the Arlington Medical Group in Arlington, Texas. So nevertheless, we started the journey. We moved to Dallas. When we first got there, we were staying with her parents. And she had her favorite uncle. And so we would hang out with her favorite uncle, and her favorite uncle had a best friend. And because I was her best friend, hanging out with her favorite uncle, I started talking to the best friend, who was a young man. He was older than I was, because at the time, I think I was like 27, and he was probably already like 37 or 38. But he had just moved to Texas like 5 years prior from Boston, Massachusetts, and on and on and on. Real handsome guy, beautiful smile, beautiful teeth, body. He was a contractor. I mean, just kissed by the sun. You know how they say
Right.
the chocolate kissed by the
Right,
sun?
right.
So he was just dark.
He had all the
had
things
it
that you
all
wanted,
together.
huh?
Yes,
The
absolutely.
things that you think you want.
Muscles, just everything.
Right.
And for me, the journey was so profound when I look back years later, because I didn't understand how hurt and broken I was coming out of a divorce. The reason why I decided to move to Texas with my best friend is because my ex-husband did not want me around my children. Because during the time that we decided to divorce, I tried to commit suicide. I overdosed. So when I was in the hospital on suicide watch for a week, he moved all my stuff out of our home, got me an apartment, moved all my stuff in the apartment. When I came out of the hospital, it was like, you can't come near your kids. You're not a good mother. What mother tries to kill themselves? It was so hard.
And at that time, you needed help.
It made me want to overdose again.
I was going to say, you needed help. It's not like, I mean, even if he was, and I know you guys are really okay now, but like if he had been thinking properly, when people are acting out, that's the time you need to love them the most.
Well, he became very, very abusive.
Right.
And I was not raised in an abusive family, so I didn't really know how to address it. And I just didn't feel like I didn't want to live anymore because of the abuse. And he was verbally abusive, physically abusive, and everything. So we moved to Dallas. I started dealing with Jeffrey, and things just moved so fast. It was so fast. I probably moved in with him around the end of the first month I lived there. So within 1 month, I was already living with him. I wasn't staying with my best friend and her parents anymore, because at the time I was sleeping in their living room on the couch.
Right.
She was in her old bedroom. And I was in the living room on the couch. And
we would have had to get bunk beds or something. We would have to work it out.
You don't have to sleep. You don't have to sleep over there on that couch. I got this big old house. A long story short, I moved in, and we were this big happy family. I got a job at the Arlington Medical Group, and his grandfather was there, and I was helping with his grandfather.
Yeah.
And he told me he was a contractor, which he was a contractor. He had a contractor's license. And for the first 4 months, we had this perfect, beautiful relationship. I'm like, okay, God is good. He's blessing me. I don't have to worry about my ex no more trying to kill me, trying to be mean to me, keeping me away from my kids. So I start putting all these plans together with lawyers and everything to try to get visitation rights with my kids and all these different things. And within the 5th month of the relationship with him and moving in, he started not coming home. And I'm like, where is this dude at? I'm coming home from work. I'm with Papa Roosevelt, and he's not coming home. And he would be out for a day, and then he would come back. And we would start getting into little disagreements, because I'm like, well, where are you? Why are you not coming home? And he would say, because he did build. He was a contractor, so he had projects. He was building, and he worked himself. He was like, I was over in Fairfield, working on a new project and all this stuff, like all night long. And he would still literally have the same clothes on from when I went to work, on Tuesday. When he would come back Thursday, he would literally have the same clothes on. So I'm believing, okay, maybe he was over there with the hammer and the nails and the drill or whatever. So it just started becoming more and more absent. He was not coming home. So about a month later into this new behavior that he picked up, I called my best friend. I was like, hey, something is really going on with Jeffrey, and Jeffrey hasn't been coming home. And this time, I was telling her in the beginning, it was like a night here, a night there. I said, but I haven't seen him in a week. And she was like, huh? I was like, I have not seen Jeffrey in a week, and I don't know where he's at. I've been to all the projects, all the houses. I've been to the barbershops, because he owned businesses and everything. I was like, I can't find him anywhere, and everybody's saying they haven't seen him. And so she was like, just come over to my mom's house. Come to my mom's house. And I'm like, why? She was like, just come. So I went to my best friend's house where she was staying with her mom. And she was like, just follow me. And you better not tell nobody I told you how to get over here. Just follow me. And I'm like, follow you where? Because at this point, I'm like, what is going on here? Why is everything such a big mystery? I'm calling you because I can't find my man, and you telling me to follow you. So I was like, whatever. So I followed her, and we went into Lancaster, Texas, into this huge apartment complex. I don't know if many people know about Texas, but some parts of Texas, Dallas, Lancaster, Arlington, they have these huge apartment complexes. And it's not the projects or anything. They're just like huge apartment complexes.
Right.
And so she was like, we go in here, we go all the way to the back of the building, come around. And, I'll never forget, it was building F. So we come all the way around and I'm like, what are we doing? She was like, look, just, she in front of me just waving out the window like, come on, come on, come on. And I'm like, oh gosh, so I'm just following her. And so she pulls up and she parks and then she waves to me. I pull up on the side of her and I'm like, what are we doing? She was like, look, you see building F? Look, this is what you need to do. You go up them stairs and go to the apartment right there on the left. That's apartment C. It's A, B, C, D. You're going to go to C, and you better not tell nobody I told you to, how to get here. So I'm sitting in my car like, oh, God. She was like, if you want to find Jeffrey, that's where he's at. That's where he's at. If you want to find Jeffrey, that's where he's at. So I was like, okay. So I get out the car. And I walk across the parking lot because, of course, she parked like 5 rows so far away. She didn't pull me close. We was like rows behind. So I probably walked like 3 rows of parking to like get to the sidewalk. And so I get to the sidewalk. I start walking up the stairs. I walk up the first flight and my stomach just started like, feel like it was just like dropping out of my stomach, like just dropping out of my body. So then I get up to the top and then I had to go up to the second flight. And as I was walking, I just felt like really nervous. I felt like I wanted to throw up and like, I didn't know like what I was doing or like whatever. So I get to the door, and when I get to the door is ajar. Like, like you can like see in, like it's crack where you could literally like about this much. When you walk up to a door, you could see in the door.
Otherwise, you would have probably tried to knock on it.
But there was a screen. There was a screen door, and then the wood door. But the wood door was cracked.
Okay.
So I looked in, and I saw all these little young girls walking around with little T-shirts on and panties, and sitting on the couch smoking weed and eating like junk food. And I'm like, what? But I didn't see Jeffrey.
Right.
So by this time, I'm like, Deborah, you already in it. You might as well just do whatever you got to do. So I turned around to like look for my best friend. She like, go. And I'm like, oh God. So something just was like, open the door. The door is unlocked. The screen door is unlocked. So I grabbed the screen door. I pushed the wood door slightly. I walk in, and this little real happy-go-lucky girl. She didn't look any more than about 15, 16 years old. Later, I found out she was 14, but I thought she was maybe like 15 or 16. Right. And she was like, oh, hi. How are you? And I'm looking like, you don't even know me. I just walked through this door for the first time in your life. And so now I'm really freaking out. And I was like, is Jeffrey here? And she was like, oh, yeah, he's in the back. Let's go down the hallway. He's in the back. So I'm like, oh,
nobody's alarmed to see you. Like nobody, they're just
no
walking
one
into
said,
something.
who are you? Where did you come from? Or anything. So I'm walking down this little short hallway because it was an apartment. And I get to the room door, and that room door is cracked.
Now this room,
the bedroom, the actual bedroom.
This is just an open thing. Everything is open.
Right, it was an actual bedroom, but the door was cracked. So I get to the door, and I look in, and I see Jeffrey in the bed with a Caucasian young lady and a black young lady. And I'm looking like, wait a minute. I must be seeing things right now.
Oh, Lord.
So both of the young women were nude, but he had on like a t-shirt and some underwear. But he was like in the middle of the bed, and they were both on each side of him. So I opened the door, and I just walked in, and I just looked. And he caught eyes with me. And we was like locked. And all of a sudden, I just turned around like, oh my God, I have to get out of here. So before I can like turn around, he's like, oh, F, that's my mother, F woman. How did she get up in here? And so now all the girls in the house are like freaking out, like, oh my God, who let her in and whatever. So now I'm maneuvering, trying to get back out the house. So I can hear him say, where my sock? Where my shoe? Where my sock? Where my shoe? So I'm trying to get out the front door. Goodness. I'm moving, and it was nothing but the Holy Spirit that had me covered, because I had to figure out how to get down these 2 flights of stairs. Right? Now, I know how I got up them. Right. But even to this day,
you don't know how
I do not know how I got down.
Tell me you didn't have no heels on.
No, I didn't have on heels. Shoes? I didn't have on heels because I had just got off work. I had my nursing uniform on in my my lugs for work.
Right.
But I'm telling you, I felt like I flew. I don't
Oh my
remember touching any of
goodness.
the
The
stairs,
stairs. Right.
period.
Right.
And all I remember was like hitting the sidewalk, and I'm
Wow.
just like running, running. And I could hear him come, wait a minute, baby, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. And I'm like, Lord, just let me get to this car. So I have the remote, and I'm just like pushing the button, trying to get the car to unlock. So I remember getting the car. He's at the car, trying to open the car. Open. Do we need to talk? I was like, no. Started the car. I'm backing out. He holding on to the car.
Oh,
So I'm trying to
Lord.
get out. So all of a sudden I saw him like run around back over, and he hops in here. He had a navigator. He hops in the navigator. Boy, I was scared. Then I said, oh my God, this man gonna kill me.
Oh, Lord.
I done showed up somewhere I wasn't supposed to be. And so now we getting back, coming through the apartment complex. I'm rolling, I'm dipping. I'm trying to get back on the freeway. All I see is this navigator just like charging at me, just like flying.
Oh my goodness.
So we on the freeway. I'm
You're
on the
like,
freeway.
Jesus, take the wheel.
Look,
For real, Jesus, take the wheel.
I'm in Texas, but the Compton came out in me. I'm bending. Boom, boom, boom. I'm just hitting the lanes. So I get to the house, hit the corner. Because in Texas, everything dirt. They don't have sidewalks and stuff.
Oh.
It's all dirt. So I'm just hitting the corner. I'm all up on the dirt trying to get into the thing. So I get into the driveway. I hop out. I could hear him. I could hear the wheels. I could just hear it coming around the corner. I was like, Lord, just please let me get this house. Now, usually Papa Roosevelt sitting on the porch. I was praying when I was hitting that corner, like, Lord, please do not let Papa Roosevelt be on this porch.
Right.
Usually when he see me come in, he gets up and he comes down off the porch. So I come in, he wasn't there. I was like, Lord, thank you. So I get in the house. I'm locking all the doors. Clank, 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 clank. Like he is not coming up in here. Next thing I know, this man up in the house. I said, no.
You try to lock him in
can't lock
the
nobody
own
in the
house. The own house. You just got here to this house 5 months. And he got the hide key.
He built the house.
He knows how to get in. He got a little hide a place to get in. Yes.
So he gets in the house, and I'm just real hysterical, and I'm crying, and I'm confused. I don't know what's going on. I'm asking him like,
mind you, just got
I'm going through a divorce. I'm going through it,
and you think things are great,
with my children,
and you're already going through that battle. You're broken. You go into another situation, and you don't know blindly.
But my so-called best friend
knew.
Oh,
that's so hard.
So we get in the house, and I'm just crying, and I'm just so hysterical, and I'm just like breaking up everything in the house. Pouch, smash. I'm just smashing everything in the house. And he's like, calm down. So after I broke up like everything in the sitting room, I calmed down. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, those are kids. Like, you're almost a 40-year-old man, and you're in the bed with kids. He was like, baby, no, I'm a pimp. I'm like, no, I didn't know you was a pimp. I didn't know you a pimp. So he was like, well, you a square. I didn't want it to interfere with you being a nurse and all this. I just started crying. I'm trying to get all my stuff to like get out of there. And he just literally manhandles me, pins me down, like, you're not going anywhere. We're going to talk about this. He locks all the room up. I couldn't get out the room, which I didn't even know that existed until it happened. And he made me stay the night with him. Stinky, he was stinky, dirty, like, you all up on me, and you. Anyway, so we wound up. So by this time, I'm saying to myself, Deborah, you need a plan.
Yes.
You need a plan.
And a lot of people, this is where people make like rash choices. I remember God told me one time, you got to ease your hand up the tiger's mouth, or you're going to lose some fingers. I used to say, like, what do you mean, God? He's like, you need to be wise here on how you move. And sometimes because people can get themselves killed and in the process,
So the Holy Spirit was like, you need to calm down. I got you from here.
So had you grown up knowing the Lord?
Yeah, I was in church all my life. When I moved to Texas, I was a part of ministry. I have been in ministry. I was a licensed minister in the early 2000s.
Right.
And then I became ordained 11 years ago. But I've been in ministry almost 30 years.
Right.
So I was doing Bible studies and everything. Like, I was at the old Potter's house when I moved to Texas. I was going to the Potter's house, the old campus, and working with the singles ministry, like everything. Like, didn't even know he would go to church with me on Sunday, girl.
He's a pimp, and he's going to church on Sunday.
Church with me on Sunday.
See what I was trying
playing
to
the
tell him?
whole role. He
See,
played the
that's
whole
what I was
role.
saying. I was saying like the guy in our last segment. I was saying like here he is preaching, teaching everything like he loves God and he can pretend for a little while,
Yeah.
but the truth always
It has to come
surfaces. That's
out.
why you have to take your time and allow things to surface.
Oh yeah, I
if they're
rushed
going
it.
to.
So now the Holy Spirit kept saying, I need you to calm down. I'm going to give you a plan. I need you to calm down. So I wind up being held captive for 2 days. He wouldn't leave the house. He wouldn't let me leave the house. I couldn't go to work. This was like on a Wednesday.
Oh God.
I didn't go back to work till Monday. And so now the Holy Spirit was like, whatever he asked you to do, just do it, because I'm going to show you how to get out of this. So he was like, well, now that you my woman, I need you to be down with me. The girls need to go to the doctor. You're a nurse. I need you to make appointments for the girls to go to the doctor and all that.
Oh, he thought he was really that guy.
He wanted me to bring the girls for checkups and different things like that. So I did it. I did what the Holy Spirit told me to do. I did it. Never engaged with the girls, but did what he asked me to do. And then one day I was at home and he called me up and he was like, hey, babe, what you doing? And I was like, I just finished cleaning the kitchen from feeding Papa Roosevelt. Oh, I need you to put on something sexy because one of the customers want an older woman. I said, well, I ain't old. I'm only
27.
But at the time,
you got me in a prisoner situation.
But at the time, I am old because they were
14,
14, 15, 16,
yeah.
and I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
yeah.
So when he said older, I'm like, well, I'm not old. I'm the same age as, because they look so mature.
Right.
I never, in the beginning, really looked at them. So I saw them from a distance with the lashes and the makeup and all that. So they looked older to me.
Right.
But when I realized they were younger is when they brought them to the doctor's office.
That's when I
realized they were younger.
They had to give their birthday, their information.
Well, they gave false information, but I was
Ah.
able to literally see them physically.
So
I'm like, wait a minute, she got buds. She ain't even got no brush yet.
Like she's
different things
got
like
it,
that.
got it.
So
got
then
it.
I start questioning him about it, and so I don't want to revert because it'll be
Right,
all in
okay,
the book.
good.
But
Right.
So he calls me and he was like, they want an older person. So I'm like, I'm not doing that. He was like, oh, it's nothing. Just put on something sexy. I was like, I'm not. 30 minutes later, he's pulling up to the house, coming in the house like, I told you to get ready. I told you. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. So he put me in the shower himself, literally, and pulled out the little dress or whatever he wanted me to wear, made me, get dressed and everything, and put me in the car and took me to the West End Hotel in downtown Dallas. He was like, well, when you get out the car, this is what you're going to do. This is the room they in or whatever. So I get out the car. I go into the hotel. I'm nervous as heck. I'm crying, don't know what to do. So I get to the room, knock on the door, and this Caucasian man comes to the door. And I go in the room and I say everything he told me to say. He told me, don't talk about money. They have these certain terms that you high, do you want a blonde girl? Do you want a whatever? So he was like, oh, well, he wanted a lazy boy, which means he wanted to have regular sex or what have you. So I was like, okay. So he was like, well, I've already put your card on the nightstand, which means that he already paid for it because he knew how much it was before I got there. So when he got ready to take off his clothes, I just started crying. I just broke down and started crying. And so
it was
he
all
looks
too much.
at me and he says, why are you here? And I'm like, well, you wanted a service. He was like, no. He was like, you're not supposed to be here.
Jesus.
And so when he said that, I really broke down and started crying.
Gosh.
So I started telling him what had just happened like a couple of weeks before, and I had just moved there, and da. So we wind up having this long, beautiful conversation. He told me about his wife and his kids, and he's a traveling businessman, and it was so profound because it delivered him. Like, he had vowed that he would not buy sex anymore on the road because I had told, and I'm like, I've never done this before. This is a situation with a man I just met 6 months ago. And I moved here from California. I'm in the middle of divorce. I'm a nurse, and I just cried. So I never wound up having sex with him. He paid me the money that I was supposed to pay Jeffrey, and he gave me an additional $400 so that I can try to get a hotel so that I would not have to go back home to Jeffrey.
So the Lord is so amazing. I hope we can. They might have to stretch this segment and not cut this and let this keep going. You have to see about that, because this is just too profound. Because people can find themselves in a situation. You found yourself in a situation. You did not know where you're going to. You're already broken. You're hurt. You lost your children. You're trying to get yourself back. You almost committed suicide. You're going through all these things. You haven't had any deliverance. And in the midst of this man is hearing. He's getting delivered at the same time when he says, let me help you.
Right.
So God was helping you out in the process. And here you are. So he gives you an extra $400. You go give the guy
the money I owed him was only $200. So
Okay.
I wind up leaving the room with $600. And I was not able to get a hotel that night because Jeffrey would not let me out of his sight that night, because I was still so emotional. He don't know that I never slept. To this day, he never knows I never slept with the guy. I never told him that what happened in the room.
So when you get back to the car, he doesn't ask you any questions?
No.
No conversation.
He was like, "Hey, how was it? You got the you got the money."
All he cares about the money. And a lot of women don't realize they're dealing with a narcissistic personality. So I wrote my book on unmasking the narcissist. You can go to the website and get it at lifelinetnt.org. And a narcissist doesn't have regular feelings. He can't discern
He
the
had
share
nerve
of
to ask me, "Oh, did he tip you? Because your stuff is good. Did he tip you?" I wanted to say, "You don't even know," but he did. I mean, he did. He said that. He said, "Well, did he tip you? Because your stuff is good." And I'm looking at this fool like, I can't wait to get away from you.
Right, and this is what a narcissist will do.
Yeah.
They have no idea that
He put it on
they're
me
foolish.
like it was something I wanted to do. Like I should have enjoyed doing it. And
That's just, they turned it around, and it's all about them. Just give me my money.
Right.
Yay,
And
great.
did you get a little something for yourself?
Right.
Yeah. So the next morning, he didn't leave the house probably till like 1, you know, because he was like, I don't know what this girl gonna do, you know, because I was just quiet. I never spoke. Even when I got back in the car and gave him the money, I never spoke. I never talked. I never nothing. I went home, I showered again, and I crawled up in the bed, and I just left it at that. And he was like, oh, it's the first time it's hard. But I never said to him that I never did it, because he probably, I don't know if he would have tried to hurt me, or I don't know.
Or even the guy, like,
Only thing,
any of those things, right?
Only thing I know is the Lord was like, I got you.
Yes.
So by the time he left, now at this time I was going through a really bad divorce. Me and my husband, we couldn't even be on the same street together, literally. We had intervention just to, you know,
communicate about
with the
anything.
kids or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I had to call my ex-husband, and I called him.
You
and I
humbled
was
yourself.
crying. I
Oh.
humbled myself and called my ex-husband crying, and I told him what happened. And he said, "Do you think I was going to let my wife move to another state and not know what was going on with you?" He said, "I knew you was with that man." I'm like, "What?" He said, "I've been knowing everything you've been doing since the day you've been there." He said, "This is what I need you to do." He said, "I need you to monitor his moves." He said, "And then when you know he gonna be gone," he said, "I need you to pack up everything and get to a hotel." He said, "I'm sending my people there, be there in 3 days." And in 3 days, I packed all my stuff. I got everything out. They met me with a moving truck, moved all my stuff out, because I had moved.
Did you
everything
tell the
from
friend
California.
where you were going? You didn't tell nobody.
I never spoke to her no more after that.
Yeah, that would have been it. That, and a lot of people have a hard time with that, because you have to end a friendship like that. And friends don't let friends
Hurt.
go into hurtful situations like that.
Yeah.
And they maybe hurt themselves, and once you find out that it's something toxic like that, you have to just continue to go forward, like with your life. You can't stay with it.
Yeah, so his family came and got me. They moved me, and we got everything on the U-Haul. I put my car on the back of the trailer. And this is really how God really teaches you how to endure. And this, you know, the segment we're doing right now is a purpose-driven life, but it equals to how you become unbothered. These stories and these testimonies that push you into purpose, that push you into life, teaches you how to really become at a place at peace. I could have allowed that to break me. I could have allowed that to take me back to, you know, when I was 7 years old and I was molested by my babysitter. There's a lot of things that could have broke me, you know, and sent me into a frenzy where I wouldn't have been able to, you know, function. But I knew that the Spirit of the Lord was in me. It was living in me, because it gave me the strength at 27. His family just came, packed me up, put me in a Penske truck, put my car on the back of the trailer, and put me in a hotel for 2 days for me to rest and get on the road. I drove by myself from Dallas back into California. And if anybody know Route 66, it's one way in and one way out. I drove from the time I got on the freeway in Dallas all the way to California by myself nonstop. It took me 22 hours. But all I knew is I had to get away from that. And from there, I came back home. This was like 1999, because I was there about a year altogether with, for moving there and then transitioning and all that. So I got back in home in like summer of 99. My ex-husband, put me in one of his properties, gave me my kids back. And it was just weird how ministry just started opening back up.
God fixed everything and gave you the kids back. You don't have to fight for them. And it brought a peace and he gave you a place to live too.
Right. He gave me one of the houses.
Wow.
I didn't have to go back into nursing. That's when I went into real estate. So I've been in real estate since 1999.
Right.
I started doing real estate, and God just started opening all these doors, and my life started turning around, and I started committing everything that I was to God. I've had, some ups and downs through that, but I knew that it was nothing but God that kept me. And
it's so beautiful.
And years later, in like 2003, I had my daughter's best friend, mom, became a good friend of mine. She was a minister.
Right.
And she was raising her daughter's kids. And one day, one of her granddaughters didn't come home from school. And she came to me and she was like, "Oh my God, Deborah, I really need you to pray with me. My granddaughter didn't come home from school." At the time, she was 12. She was 12 years old. And she didn't come home from school. And I said, "Well, where's her best friend?"
Go to the best friend.
Go to the best friend. The best friend always know where the friend is at. So we went to the best friend's house, and we found out that over the last months or so, that when they would walk home from school, they would go to McDonald's, and then from McDonald's, they would go across the street to the park, that these men would always try to talk to them at the park. So she befriended an older guy that was 31 years old. She was 12. And he started meeting them after school every day, buying them McDonald's and doing all these nice things for her. And eventually she started liking him, the 31-year-old man. She didn't have any family presence at all. So, and we'll talk more about this in our book, in my book, because I'm leaving a lot out, because, trying to get to the point of how I got here, how the work that God called me to. It chased me down. I didn't chase it down, because I was never chose.
It chased you down.
Yeah.
So it found you. It came knocking on your door.
I never chose to go through what I went through to get. But if God would not have put me in that situation, I would not be the prophetic person that I am in the work I do now.
Wow.
But he had to put me in it for me to see the darkness, the demonic, the changed, and all of the satanic stuff that goes on, so that my spirit of discernment and my ability to see prophetically to deliver these girls and to recover these girls. When it was all said and done, I had a conversation with Jeffrey, and Jeffrey wind up the Caucasian young lady that I first saw him in the bed with. At the time, she was 13 years old the day I saw her. God. And a year after I had came back to California and got back my life together and selling real estate, I wind up just calling him like, "You hurt me, you lied." I had to purge myself.
Right.
And she was pregnant by him at 14. So they have a son named Pharaoh that they made together. And she wound up being his main girl, and she was the one that started bringing in the other girls and different things like that. So moving forward, my daughter's best friend's mom that I was close to, her niece didn't come home. So we went to the best friend. We found out about this guy, and she couldn't really remember where the guy's house was. But after a few months of flirting with her and doing nice things for her, she basically decided one day after school, "I'm going home with him. You can go home. I'm going with him." And the best friend was crying, said, "No, you shouldn't. You know, we're going to get in trouble." She was like, "I don't care. I love him. He's going to take care of me," or whatever. Now, understand, she was 12 years old. So we finally were able. It took us like a 24 hours. So we didn't get to her that day because the best friend, she's 12. So she couldn't really remember the house and the street, but she knew the vicinity. So you know me.
I'm
knocking on doors. I'm knocking on doors. So I said, well, where does she put her books and stuff? Like, where's her stuff? Oh, well, I can show you that because he don't live too far from where she hid her books. So she hid her books in another neighbor's yard behind some trees. So I said, well, let's guide us from here.
Yes.
How to get there. So that's how we wound up. The best friend
Finding her.
showing us where she was. We get to the house. This was like on a Tuesday. We wind up getting to her like Thursday around 4 or 5. By this time, we get to the door. An older lady comes to the door, and we ask for the granddaughter. And she was like, I don't know what you're talking about. So I said, okay, hold on. I go back to the car, walk out to the car, and I say to her best friend, what's the guy's name? What's the guy's name? So she says the guy's name. So I go back to the door. I said,
Right.
well, where's so-and-so? She was like, oh, that's my son. What do you want with him? I said, I want him to give me my niece. Is my niece here? She was like, ma'am, I don't know what you're talking about. She's trying to close the door. I said, well, hold on. Let me call Inglewood Police. Let me call 911.
See, that's the gangster Rev.
Let me
Gangster
call
Rev is
911.
out. Compton Rev is out. See, we're gonna handle this right now.
So when she saw me calling the police, she closes the door and she goes, I guess, and talks to the son. And he comes to the door. What y'all in my house for? I said, hold on, no. You ain't even got to worry about it. We going to wait right here for the police to come. So the Inglewood police shows up and they go in the house. She's in the house. She's giving them a fit. She don't want to go with her grandmother. This is where she want to be. You're 12.
12 years old.
You just met this man like 3 weeks ago. Not even a month, like 3 weeks.
You going to jail.
He bought you some
Grandma's going to jail.
cheeseburgers and some chicken nuggets. And now you in love? No. We're not going to do that. So why would
they? And what's the mentality of a person?
A 31-year-old man.
Of a 30-year-old man and his mother.
Right.
To
Protecting
hide
him.
a child in the house. I'd have been like, get out.
Right. Get your and get.
He got to go. She gotta go.
Got a pack. I'm gonna throw it out there.
Yes, you just can't. Like, how does a mother be in a place where you can allow your son to do such things?
We wound up getting her out, getting her home. He was arrested. So through the court case, we found out a lot. Basically, the mom knew he was a pimp, and of course, he was giving her money and all these different things. But these are kids. So nevertheless, what we found out when we got the baby back home after she calmed down and we went through all this stuff with DCFS and the police and all that and questioning that basically he had gave her virginity to himself and 3 of his friends and that those 3 men had paid her $500 each. So she had $1,500 literally on her.
So a 12-year-old thinks $1,500 is like
it was just a ploy.
They think that's like a lot of money.
Well, it's just a ploy because next he would take the money from her. But this time he let her keep it thinking like, to get her hooked into what she's doing. So she was like, look at that. I got money. I could go buy whatever. She was just going crazy. And the grandmother was crying. Everybody's crying. The mom came. The dad came. And it was just a lot. So we wind up going back and forth to court. He wound up, unfortunately, only getting 14 years. For the crime. And of course he had to register as a pedophile. But she was never the same anymore after that. And she stayed running away. She stayed back and forth in the streets, selling her body and different things. So it literally, between what happened to me in Texas, so this is just God, right? This is my destiny chasing me, right? So I have an experience. My girlfriend's granddaughter has an experience. And now I started USC and for our dissertation and our projects, we had to bring a project to USC. So my project was underserved children in urban communities under violence, trauma, and prostitution. And I began to do research, and that's when I found out like there was a lot of children in the Department of Children and Family Services between the age of like 9, 10, 11, 12 that were in group homes and other agencies that were runaways. And they were actually out on the street being pimped and pandered by gangbangers and older men. Yeah.
And it just burst inside of you. I've
been doing the work since 19. When did Eugene die? 2000. No, since 2008.
2008.
And I started doing the work in 2008.
It's so amazing how literally something inside of you, from you being able to connect with what happened, what somebody could be feeling, and to find your purpose right in the midst of
Who would have
everything
thought?
you would have never thought. And I mean, I would
Because
have
if you
never
asked me if I knew what I was going to be doing,
thought. No, that was
I
not in
was
the
going to be
plan.
this huge real estate. I was going to have my own TV show like the people right now
Right,
with the real estate TV shows.
right, right,
And
right.
I was going to be an evangelist preaching all over the world.
Mm.
That's what I was going to be doing. Now, evangelist part is true.
Yeah, that's true.
And, the real estate stuff is still,
Yeah,
but
you
it's,
still got it, but that's not your
right.
passion.
But
Like,
this is what I've been honored for. This is what I'm known for. This is what God has called me to do. And the purpose for that, it has been very rewarding, but very hurtful and painful because even now with the businesses that I have, seeing these young girls in my facilities and how they're so broken and traumatized and damaged and unloved, and most of it started in their home with
and I
their
love how you love the girls in the group homes that you have. Like, I mean, you have to have an anointing for what you do, and God will give you the capacity for it. And you have such a capacity for it because
you gotta
I,
stay unbothered
I,
because they be trying to bother you.
I felt like I wanted to become unbothered for some of the stuff that you have to endure, and you're still like, no, I don't want her to go. They're just
Right.
gonna get rid of her at the next place. Like for somebody to feel like that, the thing is, they actually. My point is like, do they know what they have in you? Because like I remember being out in the streets at 16 years old. I was about to be 17, but I was still out there, and I ended up getting raped, and I had a couple people try to molest me. The house where I'm staying, the guy starts trying to kiss me in the middle of the night because I'm home drunk, and
Right.
I'm on the couch, and I'm trying to play sleep, and just to go through things. My boyfriend says he doesn't want to be my boyfriend anymore because I don't have sex, and he wanted a girlfriend that's gonna have sex. And my parents weren't there. I felt unprotected. I felt saddened. I felt I felt so many different things. If somebody came and said, "I don't want you to go, and I want you to have a good life, and I'm here to help you," or gave me an opportunity, my whole life would have been different. But then now I'm at the place where I'm like, I'm
You had
glad
to
that I
go through
went through
that.
those things because I wouldn't have been the mother that I turned out to be. I wouldn't have been. I mean, a lot of times I remember my ex-husband, you say, why do you care about those people so much? Why do you spend time? They're not listening. Why are you talking?
Them
Why are you
streets are
talking? I'm
mean.
talking because nobody came for me.
Right.
Because nobody took the time. My own parents didn't even come for me.
Yeah.
I mean, a year and a half, I didn't even see my parents.
Yeah.
And I went through this serious rape, and I'm by myself, and no one knows it. And
Right.
I'm still a kid, so I get up and go to school.
Yeah.
You go to school and go to practice
Like
like
nothing
you like
happened.
nothing happened because you don't know where to go, or they say, well, why didn't you just go home? That is irrational to even say because they don't understand that still I have a child's mind.
Yeah.
So if someone had loved me or stuck with me, and I'd started off staying with this lady that braided my hair, and her and her friend, I remember even like I can still see the images of some things or hear the conversations that they had that impacted my life, right? But they would go to church and they never even asked me to go with them.
Mm-hmm.
And for years,
They
you know
were
what?
religious and not
Years later,
spiritual.
my heart was broken. Like, why didn't you just take me to
Introduce me to
church?
Jesus.
Take me to God. Like, let me know that there's a Savior and He has purpose for me, and this is going to pass, and my parents are going to love me, and that this is just a
It's not your
season, and
fault.
it's not my fault. I thought the molestation I had at 12 years old was my fault. I literally thought for the
Do you
longest.
guys see now why we're so close?
Close, yes. And I see her and with the kids, and I'm just like,